The victim of an apparent road rage shooting at a Troy gas station is revealed to be a firefighter. More coming up. Paula.
Remains of indigenous children being found in unmarked graves in Canada. Why survivors of so-called residential Indian schools say the only reason remains aren't being found in the United States is the U.S. isn't looking for them.
And Paula, we have just finished the hottest hour of our forecast, but as temperatures start to go down, those storm chances start to ramp up. We'll look at the timing of it right now. First at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon. I'm Devin Skillian in for Karen today. First at 4, a Detroit fire lieutenant is dead after a road rage shooting in Troy. This happened around 9:45 last night. The Shell gas station on Rochester Road near Waddles. Investigators say 55-year-old Francis Dombrowski of Rochester Hills had gotten into some kind of altercation when the driver of a white Jeep Cherokee opened fire. Dombrowski was taken to the hospital where he died. Now, the driver of the Jeep initially fled the scene but turned himself into police later in the evening. Charges in that case are pending this afternoon. Novi police releasing new 911 calls from the fireworks accident that killed NHL goalie Matisse Kavelniks. It happened Sunday night during a party at the home of his coach and former Red Wing, Manny Legacy. Investigators say Kavelniks was shot in the hot tub when a firework tipped and fired at him. The 3 brief calls released today reveal Kavelniks was conscious moments after he was hit. Here's a listening to just a part of it.
Hey, we have someone who's hit by a firework. Can you come here immediately?
Okay, ma'am, we're already aware of it. Is he awake and talking to you?
He's breathing. We have a nurse here. He's breathing, but he's doing not very good. I'm in the ICU.
Ma'am, okay, they're on the way. Just stay there. Okay.
Kavelniks was taken to Ascension Providence Hospital in Novi, where he died. There were several calls, as I mentioned, to 911. You will have more of them coming up here on Local 4 News at 5. Let's move to Warren. Police confirm the man killed in a condo explosion was a parolee and suffering from depression. 58-year-old Matthew Prisink was released from prison back on July 1st. He died Sunday night at the blast on Villa Point Drive near Shaner and I-696. Investigators say Prisink was served time for aggravated stalking and fleeing police. Meanwhile, an investigation into what caused that explosion continues. Starting this week, the state will only update new coronavirus cases and deaths on Tuesdays and Fridays. It has, of course, been a daily update for months. The state reporting 438 new cases and 21 deaths, but that is a 4-day total running from Saturday until today. On the vaccine front, the state's vaccine rate sticking right now at 61.9%, still short of 62. The University of Michigan says 55% of students have been vaccinated. This upcoming fall, about 93% of undergraduate classes are going to be offered in person. In Israel, interesting new data suggesting the Pfizer vaccine may be less effective at preventing the spread of the Delta COVID variant that we've been talking so much about. And coming up at 6 o'clock tonight, our Dr. Frank McGeorge will break down what this Israeli data means and why it is so concerning right now. All right, let's get back to our look at the forecast. Hot weather starting to clear, but now storm worries, right, Ben?
Yeah, we were feeling like 100 degrees in the last hour, Devin, and those storms have now dropped that heat index almost 10 degrees down to 91 there at Metro Airport, but still sweating it out here in the city. You can see very few downpours, but we tried tracking these things. They're just not holding together long enough to really make a reliable track. They're just kind of migrating to the east at about 25 miles per hour. There's that cell you saw blow up there around Romulus as it exits here to the east. Again, these aren't going to last very long, but they're going to put down some rain where they are. We're not anticipating anything severe tonight, but that could change tomorrow. Temperatures still in the 80s, and boy, that humidity's not going anywhere, even though the temperatures are decreasing. We'll talk about stronger storms for tomorrow, and of course, take a look at Tropical Storm Elsa as it heads towards Florida in a few minutes. Devin?
All right, Ben. Search and rescue crews are back to working at full capacity at the site of that deadly building collapse in Florida. Work was suspended over the weekend so that the remainder of the building could be demolished. Kimberly Gill in the newsroom with today's updates from Surfside, where now weather's coming into play, KG.
Yeah, it is, Devin. Good afternoon to you. While Surfside is not in the direct path of Tropical Storm Elsa, the wind and rain from the storm is making it difficult to move heavy equipment such as cranes. And as we approach 2 weeks since the collapse, hope is also fading of finding anyone alive. The fire chief today said they're simply not discovering any positive signs like voids in the rubble or livable spaces for survivors. Today we learned 4 more victims have been recovered. The death toll now stands at 32. 26 of those victims have been identified. 113 people are potentially unaccounted for. 191 people have been accounted for. There was an emotional moment this morning as a man whose sister, Gabriela, is among the missing, unrolled a poster board adorned with pictures of her from over the years. The man who traveled from Uruguay to say goodbye to his sister says he believes in miracles, but after the first week of searching, he lost hope that she would be found alive. A vast effort is underway, though, to check other buildings for the type of problems that weren't fixed in time at this tower. The Miami-Dade County Fire Chief estimates crews have removed 126 tons or 5 million pounds of debris from the collapse site. Thankfully, none of those workers have suffered any major injuries. We'll have more on the news at 5. Until then, Devin, back to you.
Yeah, you got it. All right, Kim.
Yeah.
First at 4, stories that are making headlines from around the world. Emergency shelters are opening up to house people who may end up without a place to stay in the wake of Elsa. The storm is whipping through parts of Florida. Tropical storm warning is in effect for the area. Heavy wind and rain sweeping through Key West this afternoon. Elsa packing 60-mile-an-hour winds right now. Local business owners say they're ready.
It's better to clean up before the storm than it is to be caught off guard and then have to clean up even more stuff. Like if seaweed gets behind the bar, it becomes a whole nother animal.
3 to 5 inches of rainfall with localized totals of up to 8 perhaps expected through Wednesday across the Keys. But from there on, we'll be watching where Elsa heads next. A Georgia country club that became a crime scene over the weekend is set to reopen tomorrow. Gene Siller was killed Saturday near the 10th hole at Pine Tree Country Club. Investigators believe Siller was killed because he witnessed an active crime with the suspect take place. Police say the suspect drove a pickup truck onto the course and shot Siller and then took off, leaving the truck behind with 2 bodies inside. That driver of that truck is still on the run. A lot of people just got done celebrating the independence of the United States and Canada the week prior, but for many Indigenous and First Nation people, the weekend has been a raw, open wound. The discovery of more unmarked graves of children, victims of so-called residential schools, forcing a new national recognition that stretches all the way to Michigan. Let's get to Paula Tutman live with a survivor's story and more on why Canada's story may well become a U.S. story. Paula.
Yeah, hi, Devin, for sure, because think about this. More than 1,000 remains of children have been found in Canada. These are children who are ripped from their families and their culture. Keep in mind, the United States had these same kinds of residential schools or boarding schools. The Indigenous people I've been talking to all day say they've been trying to get this out there for years because they believe their belief that the only reason the U.S. hasn't found the remains of children on the grounds of some of these schools is because the U.S. simply isn't looking for them.
That practice started here in the United States to kill the Indian and save the man.
In the United States, the practice of putting children in so-called residential schools continued as late as 1996. So for Euphemia Franklin, who goes by the name Sue, this is not ancient history to her.
Nobody wants to believe their government, in collusion with religious institutions, took these children and put them in these institutions where they were raped and beaten and tortured and murdered.
For years, she's tried to get people to listen to what happened to her grandparents when they were children in Michigan's numerous residential schools across the state, from Harbor Springs to Mount Pleasant.
Look for the bodies in the walls. Some of the women who were teachers there became pregnant by these young boys where they had sex with them when they were 11 and 12 years old, and they killed the children when they were born.
For Sue, the discovery of even more children found in unmarked graves in so-called residential schools in Canada adds to the generational trauma she suffers.
I have not come across not one Native person who did not have an ancestor that was sent to boarding school either here in the United States or in Canada.
Taken away for a systematic, institutionalized whitewashing of their identity and culture. And today, Chris Franklin still hears the voices through his mother and aunt's recollections.
She could remember them dragging kids out at night and hear them screaming. And she said, sometimes those kids never came back.
I'm a survivor of a residential school.
83-year-old Shirley Roach was stolen from her family at age 8. She spoke to me from her home not far from Sault Ste. Marie in Canada.
They stripped us of our language. They stripped us of our culture. You know, they stripped us of everything of our identity. That's why I think that so many of us it still has an impact on so many of our people, our Anishinaabe people today.
And so it's not just finding the bodies.
The doors are opening, and we're finding kids now, and we need to not stop. We need to make sure that somebody's held accountable for all this.
So there was a prayer vigil in Harbor Springs this weekend, but what's being called for by First Nations on both sides, by the way, both sides of the border, the lake, the river, and the bridges, is that there be an accounting. First of all, that there be an acknowledgement that this happened because children were exchanged across the border, but also a real search for remains on both sides of the border, and also a real search for accountability by both nations. Devin, mind-boggling, by the way.
Absolutely gut-wrenching.
Mind-boggling.
It certainly is, Paula. You know it. All right. We're going to take a quick break, but coming up, still ahead here at First at 4, what's the worst thing that can happen to you while you're using the restroom? Well, the surprise one man got is like something out of a nightmare. We'll tell you more about that. Also, rethinking reusables. If you try to avoid using plasticware in favor of silverware. Interesting new study and about environmental impact. We'll have that when we come right back.
Is 98.6 really a normal body temperature? Dr. McGeorge has the answers.
The real deal when it comes to what's normal and what's not.
Tomorrow on Local 4 News Today.